Dear Bess, hello from stormy San Francisco. This time I'm staying in a beautiful Victorian mansion. You'd love the room I'm in. It's full of old Chinese furnishings and some interesting knickknacks. The owner of the house, Rose Green, is a friend of Hannah and asked me to come out and help her with some renovation work. She and her friend Abby hope to turn the place into a bed and breakfast by next month. But from what I gathered, Rose isn't sure if she can open in time. Ever since they started the renovations, they've had a lot of accidents. Could it be just bad luck, or is there something more sinister at work? I'm sure I'll find out. Love, Nancy. It's stuck.
Hello, Nancy. I see you've arrived safely from your long journey. But I'm sensing an aura of danger around you. I can tell you're an inquisitive type, a little skeptical, and that you don't believe in ghosts.
How do you know I don't believe in ghosts?
I know many things. I know how to communicate with the spirits, and I know things about people that they don't tell me. Call it intuition or ESP. The spirits in this house are interested in you, especially since you don't believe in them. Watch out. They may give you a rough time just to get your attention.
Does your intuition tell you who could be behind these recent accidents?
I'm not sure, but for some reason the name Valdez has a strong connection with this mansion.
Well, you'll be the first to know if I find a ghost floating over my bed.
Do you dare mock the supernatural? Just bear in mind what I've told you about this place. Spirits of the deceased can do unimaginable harm, especially to those who don't believe. Now, if you will please excuse me, I need to prepare myself for this evening. At that time, more will be revealed.
Hello, Nancy. I'm very glad you could come out here. We can really use your help, seeing how far we are behind schedule. Are you all ready to do some renovation work?
I sure am. This house must have quite a history. What do you know about it?
Not very much, but Abby found some interesting old papers that might give us clues about the history of the house. They're in the parlor if you want to take a peek. There's also an old-time saloon in the basement, so it's possible the house was once a hotel.
Last night, you mentioned some accidents. What exactly happened?
I don't know where to begin. It started out with some small but irritating things. But then the scaffolding collapsed, and just last week we had a gas leak. I really don't know whether I can stand much more of this. I would love to have a week without any accidents.
I can understand your frustration, Rose. Do you think it's just bad luck?
I'm not one to believe in bad luck, but it's been one thing after another. Maybe Charlie doesn't have the expertise for these renovations, but his rates are so affordable. I sometimes wonder, though, if this old house would be worth more burned to the ground. Enough chit-chat. Hannah tells me you're a real pro with puzzles. Take a look in the corner. Those wood tiles should fit inside the inlay pattern of the floor. Abby and I tried for hours, but it's just too complicated. I'm sorry for not introducing you around, but everyone posts their schedule here in the dining room. It's kind of like Command Central. Let me know how far you get with that puzzle. And thanks again for helping us, Nancy. How's that inlay puzzle coming along?
I finished it.
Wonderful. But now I've got something else for you. I set up a ladder upstairs so you can chip off the broken tiles on the hallway ceiling. You'll need to look around for a chisel or paint scraper for the job. I'm not sure where Charlie keeps them.
I can see you're busy. I'll let you go.
Goodbye.
Hi, you must be Nancy. My name's Charlie.
Nice to meet you. Rose and Abby really have their hands full with this house.
Yeah, most of these Victorian mansions need a lot of work, but I don't mind getting my hands dirty, you know? This place will look great once it's finished.
I can see that. But what do you like to do when you're not renovating Victorian mansions? Any hobbies?
Well, I'm taking classes at the local community college. I really like history. That's why it's neat to live. I mean, work here, because everything is so old. It's got real character.
Rose told me that there have been a lot of accidents lately. What do you think is causing them?
I have no idea. People are blaming me, but it's not my fault. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this work. Listen, Nancy, I really need to get back to work. I'm repairing some floorboards, so be careful walking around. Rose was looking for you earlier. Maybe she has something for you to do. See ya.
It's good to know it's here.
Hello. I was so wrapped up in my book, I didn't hear you come in. My name is Lewis Chandler.
I didn't mean to startle you. I'm Nancy Drew. I came out to help Rose and Abby with the renovations.
Yes, well, I'm very glad you're here.
Are you researching the history of this house?
Actually, I'm a bit in the dark about this particular property. However, as far as Victorian mansions go, I don't see anything remarkable about this one.
Abby thinks the mansion is haunted.
Does she? There have been documented cases of hauntings in older mansions. And I might add, not all of the hauntings were by friendly spirits.
Do you think a ghost is causing these accidents?
Accidents? I know Rose has mentioned some inconveniences like that wall covering and the light supplies, but I would hardly call those accidents. I'm sorry, but I'm quite busy at the moment, and although I'd like to talk, I really don't have the time. Please, excuse me.
The spirits wish to speak to you, Nancy. Tonight, I will channel their energies to deliver a message. Meet me down in the basement, if you dare. Please sit down.
We really don't have time for this.
Let us begin. We are gathered here tonight to contact the shades of those who have passed before us. Gaze into the crystal ball. It will answer all of our questions. What's that?
Who has called me forth from the great beyond?
We have. Are you the spirit known as Valdez?
I was once called that in the world of the living.
Are you the spirit who has caused these accidents?
I have come back searching for her, my wife. Where can she be?
The spirits have spoken. The seance is over.
We've got a busy day tomorrow, and no more time for these games, Abby. And make sure you blow out the candles on your way up. I don't want to wake up and find the house on fire.
It's locked.
How are the tiles coming along?
I'm all finished, but you should know what I found.
I'm sure it's very interesting, but unless it's really important, I've got other things to worry about. Let's see. If you're any good at fixing things, there's a dumbwaiter in the hallway that's not working.
Where did Abby find those papers that are in the parlor?
She told me they were in her room, which surprised me since it was completely empty when we moved in. Now, the room you're staying in was crammed with furniture. I think most of it was original with the house.
How did you find Charlie?
He just showed up one day. It was really odd. I remember Abby and I were in the basement talking about hiring someone to help us. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang and there stood Charlie, looking for work.
How do you know Lewis?
He stopped by one day to introduce himself. He seemed awfully curious about our property, but he's an antique dealer specializing in the Victorian period. He's been extremely helpful advising us on authentic decor.
How did you meet Abby?
She was the drama coach back in River Heights, and we worked on a couple of plays together. My bid on this house was too low, so she pitched in her savings to help me get the place. If it weren't for Abby, I couldn't have afforded this place.
I can see you're busy. I'll let you go.
Goodbye.
This is Emily.
Hi, Emily. It's Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew? I haven't heard from you in ages. How's Hannah in River Heights? You're not in San Francisco, are you, my dear?
Actually, I am. I'm helping one of Hannah's friends, Rose Green, renovate this wonderful old Victorian mansion. She wants to open up a bed and breakfast.
Seems to be the trend these days. I'll bet you're staying in the Haight-Ashbury district.
I'm not sure. The place is located on California Lane. 4653, I think, is the number.
You know, you're lucky you caught me at home. I've been traveling most of these days, but after that crazy tour of Egypt. By the way, riding a camel is not as easy as it looks. My editor gave me an assignment right here in town. It'll be on the Dragons of San Francisco.
I hope you won't be riding them. What were you doing in Egypt?
Oh, you know, the usual. Pyramids, bazaars, the Sphinx. But what are you up to, Nancy? Why'd you call? Is there anything I can help you out with?
Can you tell me about the Chinese writing system? I seem to come across a lot of Chinese symbols.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. The Chinese have been an important part of San Francisco history for over 100 years. The symbols are called Hanzi, and each one represents a particular thing, or an idea, or an action. You find them all over on business cards, takeout cartons, artwork.
I found some old papers in the house, plus a page from a phone directory dated 1894.
Oh, that sounds valuable. It's hard to find old documents like that before 1906.
What do you know about the Bandit's Treasure?
Bandit's Treasure? Oh, you mean the play? The Rep did a season where they performed old local plays, including the Bandit's Treasure. I've never seen it, but I hear the music is fantastic.
Have you heard of an antique dealer named Louis Chandler?
Nope, never heard of him.
Have you ever come across hidden rooms in Victorian mansions?
No, but I've read that many houses were only partially rebuilt after the Great Earthquake, closing off damaged rooms from the rest of the house.
Do you know where Yerba Buena town is?
That's what San Francisco was called back during the Spanish colonial period, but no one calls it that anymore.
Tell me about the Spanish and San Francisco.
Oh, you could write a book on that. The Spanish were the first Europeans to settle this area during the 1700s, and it stayed that way until after the Mexican-American War when it was handed over to the United States. It couldn't have happened at a better time because gold was discovered outside the city not more than 2 years later.
With all of that gold around, I'd imagine there's a lot of buried treasure in this town.
Yeah, you'd think that, but I've never heard of any in San Francisco, except for Treasure Island out in the bay. But that's named after the book, not some legend.
I should get going. Goodbye, Emily.
I hope we'll talk soon.
Aha! That's it!
Louis, are you in there?
I'll be right there.
Hey, Nancy, I see you survived Abby's seance. Man, that Valdez guy sure sounded creepy.
I guess. Were you down here then? I don't remember seeing you.
Rose told me all about it. So how are things coming along? Anything I can help you out with?
Have you met Louis Chandler? What do you know about him?
He's an antique dealer, I think. I guess he does consulting work for Rose, like on Victorian furnishings and stuff.
Can you tell me more about the accidents?
I'd really rather not talk about that right now.
Have you ever heard of someone named Valdez?
I've heard of a Diego Valdez. He was a wealthy rancher who lived in the 1800s. Yeah, I just read a book on him for my history class.
Was he from San Francisco?
No, he was sort of a hermit and never married. But he was extremely generous. He gave away thousands of dollars.
How do you like working for Abby?
She's not bad. She can be a little weird. I think she gets on Rose's nerves sometimes.
What do you mean?
She always does a disappearing act whenever Rose needs her to do some work. And I think Rose is sort of hatty, you know?
Abby thinks the house is haunted. Do you?
I'm not sure. Let's just say I wouldn't rule it out. But that's Abby's department, not mine.
Have you come across any hidden passageways down here?
You mean like a trapdoor leading to a room with skeletons or something? No, I haven't.
I'll let you get back to your renovation.
Hasta la pasta.
I hope you're convinced now that the spirits are with us. These ghosts are here to stay.
I'm convinced that this house is haunted. I'm just not sure who is responsible.
Isn't it obvious? Senor Valdez and his wife, long-lost soulmates wandering aimlessly in the netherworld, returning to this house to search for each other. I I only hope that one day I will be able to reunite them so that they may find peace.
I found out how you rigged the seance table with a projector. That was a pretty good show you gave.
Okay, so I staged part of the seance, but that still doesn't mean this place isn't haunted. Seances were very popular during the Victorian era, and I plan to entertain our guests with them. It'll be a great way to promote the place.
Have you been creating these accidents to help your promotion?
Of course not. I've had nothing to do with these accidents. They cost us both time and money. If you want to find out who's behind the accidents, ask our resident handyman.
Do you mean Charlie?
Ugh, it's clear to me that Charlie's totally responsible for the accidents. Who else could it have been? He's a really nice kid, but he has no idea what he's doing. Unfortunately, Rose doesn't want to fire him. And there's something suspicious about him.
What do you mean?
The other day, I was down in the basement working for over an hour, and suddenly he sneaks up on me. I bet he was down there the whole time, watching me.
Do you know much about Lewis? It must be great having your own expert on Victorians.
He owns Chandler Interiors, a very reputable antique store. I'm sure his clients will be quite interested in our bed and breakfast once they hear about our resident ghost.
How long have you known Rose?
A couple of years. She has good business sense, but I think she needs to think more about advertising. Otherwise, we're just like all the other B&Bs in this town, and believe me, there's plenty of them.
I saw those papers in the parlor. Where did you find them?
Right in my room. They're so vintage. I'm going to ask Lewis if he can get me some antique frames for them. Rose and I can use the letters in our historical display.
Was there anything about the house in them?
I don't think so. I really didn't go through them that much. I did find this old picture of a woman dressed in men's clothing. I think it was taken in the entryway by the staircase. I sent it to a photographer to have it restored.
Do you have any idea who this woman might be?
No, I don't. Sorry.
I heard someone crying in the hallway. Was that you?
I told you the spirits were interested in you. Was it a woman crying?
Yes, it was. How did you know?
It must be one of our phantom residents.
Do you know who this phantom could be?
Well, it wasn't me crying out there.
I'll let you get back to what you were doing.
Ta-ta for now. Hi, Nancy.
Does Charlie live around here?
I'm not sure. He said he's between apartments. I think he said he's staying with friends until he can find a place of his own.
Is Charlie from the Bay Area?
I don't know. You might want to ask Rose. He doesn't talk much about his private life.
Between apartments? That seems kind of odd.
Not for San Francisco. Rents are really high, and there are so many kids thinking they can find cheap housing out here. It's sad to say, but a lot of them end up on the streets.
I'll let you get back to what you were doing.
Have a celestial day.